So Nick, we've said the word Thumoslang a lot. Now I know that some of the people who watch the show have seen us talk about Thumoslang before. They've told us that they find it interesting in different ways. But I also know that different people come onto the show and they may never have heard of this concept before. So would you be able to give us your basic explanation of what Thumoslang is, the way you would say it to someone who's never heard of it before? Maybe face the camera and explain.
Yes. Thumoslang is a language, but it's more with it's a language, but it has a very narrow application of a language. Like, for example, when you work with computer programming, you cannot just speak the language of computer programming. In fact, you have to speak a specific programming language. For example, Java. If you want to program in Java, then you speak Java. If you want to program in C#, then you need to speak C#. So the specific language has a name. It's called nomenclature. So if you want to become an expert in chemistry, then you need to speak the nomenclature of chemistry. Part of it is the chemical tables. So what is hydrogen? What is oxygen? Do you remember your year in chemistry from high school? It would take us forever to master a single nomenclature and in order to get into a single field, right? So if you want to become an expert in any field, you have to speak its nomenclature. And by now, we have a conclusion that one of the very few fields that we don't have a nomenclature for is, in fact, social life. And that's why humanity in general, we suck at relationships. That's why, for example, 60-70% of marriages in advanced societies end up in divorce.
That's a hard statistic.
Yes, and so Thumoslang is the nomenclature for social life. Mark Henning and I wrote the 2017 book, Thumos, Adulthood, Love, and Collaboration. We published that book we published that book in 2017. At that time, I did not know that part of the book is Thumoslang. I did not realize that what we created is much more powerful than we thought, until when I met Chapelle Hackham in December 2018. So now I can tell you that Thumoslang is a nomenclature and it's powerful. I could not explain why before Jason came into the mix. Because now, for the first time, I feel that I'm having goosebumps right now. Because for the first time, and when I say for the first time, I don't mean this century. I don't mean this decade. And I don't mean this year. Only a few weeks ago, this month, for the first time, I'm able to explain to you clearly why Thumoslang is so powerful. Once again, thanks to Jason, I now have a way to articulate the reason why it's so powerful. Because this Thumoslang is the nomenclature for social life. As it turns out, it's also in Jason's words, the architecture of social logic. When he said that, I did not understand why and how, because I could not figure out the meaning of that phrase until much later when I was by myself thinking deeply about the meaning. Thumoslang is the architecture of social logic is because it has a set, it's a set of not 100 but 600 concepts that force us to have no misunderstanding because their thumbnail definitions have very specific, not just meaning but interpretation. Mm-hmm. So each and every concept has one and only one interpretation. Therefore, misunderstanding is nearly impossible. With that architecture, it allows me to explain to you the complexity of a social situation,
right,
in such a way so that you understand my view of your personal social situation, so that every conversation that I have with you about your personal situation is always a fruitful discussion. Because the logic is solid when you use Thumoslang terms. That's why it's the architecture of social logic, because I'm able to explain to you how things are in your particular, specific, personal, social situation, and because of such logic, you can see the light that you did not see before. And when that happens, in fact, that may happen to you once in a while. Many people, and that's why it's so powerful, because people focus more on the issue rather than basically they when we talk with one another about our personal social situation, we no longer with Thumoslang we no longer do the meta talk. Rather, we focus on the issue instead of the labels.
To add to that, I like to say that it helps to allow objective social reasoning.
Perfect.
Could I ask you a question?
Yes.
I've heard we've all heard you say. Alec isn't here anymore, but we've all heard you say that you want that your life would be completely satisfied if one day Thumoslang was taught in elementary school. And so I would really love to ask you what your vision is of what society would look like if social education was taught in our public school system.
I love that question
Uh-huh.
because that question allows me to bring up an interesting concept as an answer to the question. So before I get into this, may I ask you to ask the question once more?
Sure. I'll bring up the context again. As I said a second ago, I, as well as Norman and our friend Alec, have heard Nick state several times that his work will be satisfied when Thumoslang is taught in elementary school. And so, to allow Nick to dream a little and to let us have a better understanding of the future that he may see, I ask Nick, how do you think society would change if social education, such as Thumoslang, was taught in elementary schools and in the public school system?
Yes. Why do we change? Why do you change? Why do I change? I believe that it boils down to only one and only one thing: energy. Maybe many thousand years ago, humanity changed in a big way, accidentally. That was the widespread control of fire.
Control of fire.
Yes,
Hmm.
but widespread. That was when the first big change was introduced to humanity. The next big change was the use of tune. Widespread use of tune was the next big change. And why do you use a tune like a hammer? When you use a hammer, you extend your energy. You exercise a small amount of energy, but you produce even more force. So tunes give us extra energy as a person, as an individual. So we believe that we change is because we want to become more powerful. And you become more powerful by generating more energy, but not randomly, in control. When you have control of when you have control of the energy you generate, you become powerful. And that's why we want to change. That is the bottom line. What was the next step after the use of tool?
Automation.
Machine. With machine, you generate even more energy as a single human being. And when you have a machine, you can in fact magnify the capabilities of the tool. Basically, machine is just a collection of mini tools, right?
Yeah, I hear that.
Right, like your engine. Engine has many tools within it to work together, right? So machine is a more complex tool, if you will. Once again, it's about extending your reach. in terms of energy. When you use a car, you can go further. That requires energy. And so widespread use of machine is how we human evolved. We change once again because we want to extend our energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next step beyond machines is automation. With a click, I can sort through not 1,000, but 1,000,000 documents. Not in my local library, but in 1,000 libraries around the world. So automation is the next level of technological evolution for humanity. Once again, it's about extending your personal power in ways unimaginable to many generations before. Thumoslang is the next step. Thumoslang is the next level of technological evolution after automation. Wow! How could you say that? I asked myself. Let me explain. You use a tool. You use a machine. You use automation to generate a lot of energy for your personal life. And you're able to have extra time in your life. But half of the extra time in life are lost because of the unwanted drama in your life. What is the point of using technology to save time here and there, and yet losing 10 times as much into the unwanted drama of your life? And that's why in the YouTube series, Thumoslang 101, a 25 years old father with a degree in business declared that if you don't know Thumoslang, it hurts. And the reason why he said that is because only at 25, he lost so much of his youth in the unwanted drama of his life. And this is sad but true for each and every person, for each and every member of our humanity. And if we could come up with a systematic approach to erase the, maybe not all, but most of the unwanted drama in the life of each and every person. Do you know how much energy, how much extra power we will generate as humanity? It will be beyond what you could get from automation. That is the reason why I believe that Thumoslang is very fundamental to bring humanity from level 1.0 to level 2.0. That's why I believe that we need to teach Thumoslang just like mathematics and English from first grade on in order for humanity to evolve beyond automation.
Well, I gotta say, I'm up for the challenge. I'm up for teaching people how to talk to each other in better ways and create stronger relations, to show them that their mind is a tool that they can sharpen. And in the words of Jerison Aspensell, you are far more powerful than you've been led to believe. Wow, Nick. It's quite a dream you have. I don't meet too many people that are willing to talk about their dreams, let alone have taken years to evolve theirs. And what you're talking about is on the level of humanity. I'm glad to be on this journey with you.
Thank you.
So, your statement brought me to another question, which I know I've heard some of it, but I would love to hear this and maybe and share this with the crowd. My question is, why don't you think that humanity had ever created a social nomenclature until Thumoslang? Also, I hope I said that loud enough.
If you don't mind, speak even louder the next time, because
You might want to speak up a little bit. Yeah, he's right, because it was a bit difficult to hear.
Cool. I'll ask the question one more time. Why is it that you? Why do you think that humanity has never created a social nomenclature until Thumoslang?
America, the United States of America, is literally the most powerful country on earth. And yet, it demonstrates that right now, today, this week, this month, America is one of the worst nations on earth in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Why, may I ask? You don't have the answer. It's rhetorical question. Everyone knows why. It's the lack of leadership at the national level. And that's why, for the first time ever, we now know the name of many governors across America.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Governor Newsom of California. Thank you, Governor Cuomo.
Cuomo.
Suddenly, governor steps up and do their leaderships at the national level. If humanity did not do something, not because humanity did not understand what needs to be done. America knows what needs to be done. Do you know what needs to be done for the current pandemic? Yes, you do. We all know what to do. But we don't do it yet. Like South Korea, like Germany,
Australia. No, wait. New Zealand.
Yes.
New Zealand eradicated
Yes.
coronavirus.
Right. We have, if any nation has capability and resources to do it, America can do it. So the answer to your question is not that we don't know that the problem exists, but because we don't have someone like Steve Jobs who stands up and say, we need an iPhone. And I don't care if you engineers hate me, create it my way. Because with certain problems, you cannot have too many cooks in the kitchen. You cannot have 10 cooks in the kitchen, in the same kitchen, and make the dish 10 times better. And so I would say to you that the lack of leadership is the main reason for such a question. It's not that we don't see the problem. It's not that we don't have a solution or an approach to the solution. It's that we don't have someone who's willing and able to articulate the history that we want humanity to create for itself. That's that. In other words, the lack of leadership is the main reason why things are not created.
So you feel that the reason a social nomenclature was never created was due to a lack of leadership
Correct.
on humanity's part?
Lack of leadership in social life. Because I have been led to believe that you should not talk politics. You should not talk religion. You should not try to solve social problems because avoidance is easier. And that is bad leadership. Because we are told we are suggested to inject disinfectant in our body. We are like monkeys. Monkey see, monkey do. And if our parents tell us certain things, we could not help but to believe what they say. And so we avoid problems in our relations instead of trying to look at those problems the way we deal with problems in chemistry, in engineering, in rocketry, in 1,000 of different fields. But once I decided to look at social life as a field in its own right, then suddenly engineering process, scientific methods can too apply to this field.
Someday.
That really answers my question.